arachnofaunal inventory for Goa is accomplished by myself with Dr. Bastode with
Bastode, sir. I have referred his papers, sir.
Western Regional Station. But the point that I seek to ask you here is, in your presentation, I did not see any Theraphosidae member. You did mention Mygelomorphae, but Melghat, if I'm familiar with that terrain, I'm sure that there are likely to be quite a few species of Theraphosids in Melghat.
Sir,
which either has escaped your sampling effort, or
maybe.
Madam, another thing I'm very curious to know is, did you come across any Amblypyge or Europyge? Did you come across any whip spiders or whip scorpions in your faunal surveys?
Sir, pseudoscorpion I have gone through, but not lip scorpion.
Whip scorpion and whip spiders also you have not come across?
No, sir.
These are some gaps in our understanding, and I always lament that when such a lot of work is happening in India in arachnology, we do not have a single Indian journal of arachnology. The one that was started also, I think it's dead. I think the last issue was in 2017, Indian Journal of Arachnology. So that is something that we should all come together and try to revive something like that.
It's a need because of what's the problem? I am having some species, but I am not getting a proper key to identify or support from somebody to identify.
Madam, just to inform you with the permission of the chair, at the moment I am doing a lot of work with functional morphology using scanning electron microscopy. So if there is any collaboration you would like to have with me, you're most welcome.
So definitely I would like to go through you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Pleasure. My pleasure, sir.
Okay. Lakra, sir, please conclude.
So now I request Ma'am Madhuri Pagaria to sum up the session. Madhuri, ma'am. Dr. Madhuri.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Speaker, Dr. Ujjwala Deshmukh, ma'am. Respected Chair, Pramod Chand Lakra, sir. Chairperson, and most important, the organization committee who have arranged the webinars on the wide range of topics, National Webinar on Heritage Site. Thank you, ma'am, for gracing your important work on diversity of spiders from Malghat Tiger Reserve, Maharashtra. You have shared enormous work in Araceae, Clubdiaceae, Iracidaceae, etc. families and studied widely with beautiful pictures, and you have presented a beautiful presentation. I can say it's a very comprehensive presentation. In this pandemic situation, this webinars is a lovely treat for all of us, all the students and teachers who are keen to know about the different topics. I would also thank the chair, Pramod Chanda Lakra sir, who has briefly introduced the Melghat area, the rehabilitation challenges, and the ecotourism activities which are conducted in the Melghat region. Thank you for giving the opportunity to be a co-chairperson for this event. Thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Ujjwala ma'am, and the organizer and my co-chairperson. It was a very wonderful presentation. We have a beautiful insight into the world of arachnids. So we will be further interacting whenever we find time. Being in Maharashtra, I'll be coming back a few years, so we'll be working together. I think we can further this knowledge and information so that we got some insight, we can further develop it, and we can have further studies also to discovery and other works related to archaeology. So I also thank the organizer to have this wonderful work on introducing us to the world of arachnids. Thank you to Skand Mishra ji for organizing such a webinar. Thank you. Over to Skand Mishra ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ujjwala madam.
Thank you, sir.
बहुत ही अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन रहा और बहुत ही अच्छा, थोड़ा सा समय की जरूर बात हो गई, लेकिन कुल मिलाकर के बहुत अच्छा.
I'm very sorry for that, sir. I think some problem was there in my laptop. It was not getting connected. So I had to go through the second laptop and it takes some time.
No, ma'am, it was a wonderful presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It happens. But after a tenacious start also, you did very well and presented very well. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. My pleasure.
Sir, over to you, sir.
और चेयरपर्सन डॉक्टर सूरज ए पंडित, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एंशिएंट इंडियन कल्चर एंड बुद्धिस्ट स्टडीज, साहित्य कॉलेज मुंबई, and our eminent speaker Mr. Anurag Shukla, former president and founder member of Dharohar Guide Association, Khajurao, MP.
Namaste everyone.
Welcome all of both sir, and I am requesting to Dr. Suraj Pandit, please chair the session and introducing our eminent speaker Mr. Anurag Shukla.
Sir.
Thank you. Topic Lakshmana or Baikunth Temple, first Sandhara Temple of Khajurao.
Thank you, sir, for inviting us and organizing this wonderful seminar. I'm Professor Suraj Pandit to chair the session, and I have my a scholar with me, Anurag Shuklaji, to present his views on Khajurao Temple. I'm honored to introduce him here to the August gathering in this seminar. Shri Anurag Ji Shukla is basically a science graduate. He has a diploma in mechanical engineering. He has completed the certificate course, like he's a certified regional level guide with IITTM Gwalior, and he is licensed by the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. He has a vast experience as a tourist guide, and he has been visiting various places in the capacity of guide, escort, and the manager since 1996. He is former president and founder member of Dharohar Guide Association of Khajurao. He is vice president of Tourist Guide Federation of India. He has worked as tour manager to Saga Holidays UK. He is former president and founder member of the Dharohar Guide as Guide Association, as I said. So this is my honor to introduce the honorable speaker, and I request Mr. Anurag Ji Shukla to present his views on Khajurao Lakshmana Vaikuntanath Temple. Anurag Ji,
Sir. Just I want to set my screen.
Please do.
I have the problem how I have to share my screen.
लखरा सर थोड़ा टिप दे. हेलो लखरा
सर, जो कैमरा के पास में एक एरो है सर, आपका स्पीकर, कैमरा, उसके साथ में आपके पास में एक शेयर करने का एक ऑप्शन मिलेगा सर, जो तीर के निशान है, प्रेजेंट नाउ करके है.
अनुराग जी, आपके स्क्रीन पे 4 सर्कल्स दिखेंगे. उसमें से जो बीच वाला सर्कल है वो 5 सर्कल है, जिसमें बीच वाला सर्कल है वहां स्क्वायर है, और स्क्वायर के बीच में एक अपवर्ड मूविंग एरो दिख रहा होगा आपको. So if you click on that, it says present now. Anurag ji, are you here?
जी अनुराग जी आ गया है, प्रेजेंटेशन आ गया है. फिर चला गया सर, अनुराग सर
फिर चला गया.
हाँ, फिर से उसी तरह से ट्राई कीजिएगा, पहले जैसे हमने ट्राई किया था. जब आप प्रेजेंट करेंगे तो चेहरा नहीं आता है, तो तभी आपको लगेगा कि प्रेजेंट नहीं हो रहा है, पर प्रेजेंटेशन आ जाएगा आपका. हाँ अनुराग जी, आपका प्रेजेंटेशन आ रहा था, आपका माइक म्यूट है सर।
माइक खोलिए, अपना माइक खोले।
So I have to tap on present now.
हाँ जी जी, उसके बाद में आपका प्रेजेंटेशन आ गया था, पिछली बार ही आ गया था।
प्रेजेंटेशन
जो
पहले
आपका
शेयर
चेहरा नहीं आता है, उसमें आप चिंता मत कीजिएगा, आप प्रेजेंट कंटिन्यू करते रहिएगा।
आप शेयर करिए पहले।
हाँ, पहले शेयर करिएगा। जो 4 सर्कल बताया ना सर, पंडित सर ने बताया ना, 4 सर्कल है, उसके बाद में एक स्क्वायर के अंदर एरो है, प्रेजेंट नाउ करके
उस
है,
पे टैप
क्लिक कर लीजिएगा तो आपका प्रेजेंट
शेयर आ गया, अब शेयर आ गया।
What do you mean? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
आ गया?
What on Khajurao?
नहीं, अभी हाँ आ रहा है सर, आ गया सर,
आ गया ना आपका?
आ गया सर।
ओके,
आपका चेहरा आपको नजर नहीं आएगा, आप कंटिन्यू कीजिएगा, हमें सुनाई दे
ओके,
देगा।
दैट्स फाइन।
हाँ, आपका चेहरा नहीं आता है, इसीलिए थोड़ा कंफ्यूजन रहता है कि प्रेजेंट हो रहा है कि
बस
नहीं।
वही तो थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम जा रही थी। थैंक यू कॉलर सर। तो मेरा नाम अनुराग शुक्ला है, और जैसा कि मेरे इंट्रोडक्शन में बताया गया कि मेरी एजुकेशन क्वालिफिकेशन बहुत अलग है। मैं ग्रेजुएट मैथमेटिक्स से हूँ, डिप्लोमा मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग से किया था मैंने। और खास बात यह है कि लकली मैं गाइड बन गया। जब मैं गाइड बन गया तो मुझे एक तकलीफ हुई इस गाइड बनने में। वो तकलीफ ये थी कि मुझे कोई जानकारी नहीं थी खजुराहो के बारे में। और आमतौर पे हम जब भी खजुराहो की बात करते हैं तो हम सीधे एक विषय पर आते हैं, वो ये कि खजुराहो माने एरोटिक टेम्पल्स ऑफ खजुराहो। जब एरोटिक टेम्पल्स ऑफ खजुराहो की हम बात करते हैं तो सीधे कुछ सिलेक्टेड इमेजेस आपके दिमाग में आती हैं, और इंडियन माइंडसेट में ये बात आती है कि नहीं, अगर आप खजुराहो टेम्पल आ रहे हैं तो आप अपनी फैमिली को लेके मत आइए। सो इट वाज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग फॉर मी कि अगर हम सन टेम्पल कोणार्क जाते हैं तो हम बोलते हैं इट इज अ सन टेम्पल, बट व्हेन यू आर विजिटिंग टू टेम्पल्स ऑफ खजुराहो वी कॉल इट एरोटिक टेम्पल्स ऑफ खजुराहो। सो इज इट फेयर? We have to talk about a temple as an erotic temple. So then I started my study on Khajurao temples, and luckily I met with a great scholar of Khajurao. Her name is Dr. Devangna Desai. And she was working on Khajurao from 1969, and I met her because I got her book. The name of book is called The Religious Imagery of Khajurao. So just you can understand, like a man who doesn't know ABCD about Indian history, about art and architecture and iconography, and he's just going to explain about the temple and he should try to learn about the temple. So when I met her, she suggested me, Anurag, better you should go some school of art where you can understand about iconography. So she suggested me an institute that's called American Institute of Indian Study, Gurgaon. So I went there and I met to Mr. Dhaki. I'm a Dhaki sir. And he helped me to understand about iconography, about Indian architecture and art of temples. So I returned back and I started my work on temples of Khajurao as the comparison study of 3 Hindu temples of Khajurao called Lakshmana, Vishnu and Kandariya. So when I was doing the comparison between 3 major temples, I found it is really very difficult because all 3 different temples were constructed in different time period. So it was very difficult task to me. So then I focused on my one temple. It's called Lakshmana Temple. So now I'm going to present you a temple and why it was constructed and what was the reason, and many drawings you will see. All those are produced by me. All photographs are taken by me. And proudly I can say one thing. I'm a guide in Khajurao who saw each and every stone of this temple, like starting from Jagati till to Shikhara. I took the photographs, I wrote the details, even I wrote the whole text. In 2003, I was planning to publish my book. But because there was not any fiction story, there was not any kind of Kama Sutra or Tantra story or any philosophical nuisance, so it was not published. Still, it is in soft copy. But in future, like in 2022, it will be published because I'm doing very hard on my text. So I'm now going to start my webinar. Again, with full of thanks to Mr. Skand, he gave me this great opportunity to discuss with all the scholars of this country. So here is my first slide on this screen. Names of Khajuraho. We know this city just as a one word called Khajuraho. But who told this name? Because the earliest name of Khajuraho mentioned on the inscriptions, especially in 1002, there is an inscription of Dhanga where the name of city is mentioned as Khajurao, which was wrongly read by the Cunningham, and he told this story. This is called Khajurao, the garden of palm trees. At the entrance of the city, there were the two golden palm trees. That's why it is called Khajurao. But when you will go beyond the history, you will find that when this Al-Biruni came, he told this town as a Kajura. And also when Ibn Battuta came, he called this town as Khajurao. And also in 1838, when Captain Byrd visited, he also mentioned Khajurao as Khajurao in his report. Even when Cunningham came, this city was known as Khajuraho. But Cunningham was the first person who entitled the city as the name called Khajuraho. And here we have the site plan of the city. So if you'll follow my cursor, just on this area, on the right hand side on my screen, these are called the eastern group of temple because these are towards east of the local town. Like here is the town, it is towards east of the town. That's why these called eastern group of temples. They are the Jain temple and the Vaman and Jabari. And the temple are towards west of the city. Those called the western group of the temple. This is the main complex of Khajurao. And some temple are towards south. So that's why these are called southern temple of Khajurao. If we will move ahead, so you can read the name of temples. How many temples are in just one group? So this western group is the main complex where we have 11 temples in one complex. One temple is a little bit away from the main complex, but very soon it will be in the campus because new entrance is going on where the last one, 64 Yogini temple, will be included. But today what you can see when you will visit in Khajurao, there is a Lakshmana temple, temple of Lord Vishnu, Varaha temple, where we have a massive monolithic figure of wild boar, or the Yagvaraha. Matangeshwar Mahadeva temple, it has one of the largest Shivlingam of the country. Then the Lakshmi temple, a small Lakshmi temple is there. Then Vishwanath and Nandi temple. This is the temple of Lord Shiva, and the Nandi, the Vahana of the Shiva, is placed opposite to him. Then one small temple of Parvati is there. The next one is called Chitragupta, which is dedicated to Lord Surya, but local people called it Chitragupta. The next one is Jagadambi, then Mahadeva. Then one of the most popular, famous temple of Central India is called Kandariya Madhu Temple. But by lecture is going on, Lakshman or Vaikun Temple. So when people more discuss about Kandariya Madhu Temple, why I selected Lakshmana? Because this is our temple in Khajurao which has all proofs. It was the first temple. It has own inscription that telling the historical background, that is even explaining why that temple was constructed, what was the political importance of this temple. Also it is explaining which kind of size of this temple was and how it was constructed. All those details are mentioned on the inscription. Like it has own evidence. So we should not tell about things like someone is saying this thing or that thing. The proof is there. So it was known, actually it was a Vaikun temple, but in different time period, it is mentioned on the reports with the different names. So like first is called the Vaikunta temple, as it is mentioned on the inscription. Second, called the Chaturabhuja temple. Like in 1838, when Captain Byrd was reached here, the local people were calling that temple as a Chaturabhuja temple because figure could not be identified. People didn't know the iconography. But later when Cunningham came first time in Khajurao, he wrote Lakshmi Nath temple for Chaturabhuja temple. But again, when he visited again on 1875, that time the people were calling this temple as a Lakshmana temple. So still it is a doubt. This temple is dedicated to Lakshmana temple or it's a temple of Lakshmana. Always this question comes. Earlier I did not have any proper answer for this question, but I am the only guide who tried to understand the inscription, who tried to read the inscription of Khajurao, and proudly I can see I'm a man who read the inscription of Khajurao. So I found the name of King Yashovarmana also mentioned as a Lakshavarma, and my idea is this, because in his army he had 100,000, which we call the Lakh or Laksh, Sainik, Gaj and horses. It's a massive army. So maybe that's why he known also the Lakshavarma. If you will see the next slide, as I said, first time you will see a temple itself is attested by its inscription. Not one inscription, they are the two different inscription placed by the two different kings. Like this slide is showing the verse number 42, stone inscription of Dhangadev at Lakshmana Temple dated as 954 AD CE. In that sloka it is mentioned like who Yashovarmana erected. He erected this charming, splendid home of Vishnu, the enemy of Daityas, which rivals the peaks of mountain of Vishnu, the gold Kalash. Like first time you can understand why these temples were looted, because the whole temple, the top part of the temple, were gilded by the gold. If suppose one invader just invading the temple, they are getting tons of gold and silvers and precious stones. So that was the reason these temples were keeping that kind of gold. It is mentioned on the inscription, the banner of which picks of high poles swing the groups of clouds to and fro, at the sight of which inhabitants of heaven, मतलब देवता लोग दूर भागते थे, क्योंकि जब झंडे फहराते थे वो टकरा सकते थे, met together on festival filled with increasing delight and struck with wonders. अगर हम दूसरे inscription के श्लोक को देखें, verse number 39, stone inscription of Dhangadev at Vishwanath Temple dated in 1002 CE. What is mentioned on this sloka? He means again the Yashovarmana erected this universally praised temple Vaikuntha. As I said, the real name of the temple was Vaikuntha, the enemy of Titan. Here they did mention as that like they are enemy of Rakshasa. They are talking about the Daityas, from which temple the charioteer of the sun, itna bada size tha mandir ka, so sun always going away. So his wheel doesn't touch by the temple. So it shows the size of the temple, which kind of size was of this temple. Its sharp spire shining like the autumnal moon, it pierces the planets, and its golden clutch is mistaken for the sun, kissing with its orb and peaks of the snowy mountains. What does it mean? Again, it's proving it was completely gilded with the gold. It was keeping gold kalash. But the most fascinating shlok is here. I never read this kind of proof. First time someone is giving the proof. What was the reason why I constructed this temple? Reason was that an image of Lord Vaikuntha or Vishnu, which was not just carved by the local artisans. Look, follow this beautiful details. The image of Vaikuntha, which the ornamented of princes, the illustrious King Yashovarmana, who crushed his enemy, has set up here, and how it was raised. What was the source of this icon? The Lord of Bhoth obtained it from Kailash. It is mentioned as a Bhothnath, and it is my opinion the Bhothnath is maybe today's Bhutan. So initially in Bhutan they were worshipping this figure. Then the king of Kira means about the Kangra area, he adopted this figure as a token of friendship. Also he gave to his friend Sahi, close to that's Gandhar area, received it from his afterward Harambapal obtained its force. So like Harambapal was from Kannauj, the Pratihara king. He took this figure with the power of elephant and horses. And Yashovarmana received it from Devpal. Devpal was the son of Harambapal, the lord of horse, Hyapati, the son of Harambapal. Look at this. No one is talking about that kind of history is in Khajurao. Which kind of political history was in Khajurao? We are talking about the erotic art, but we are not talking that kind of power Chandilas accepted or received in that time. And what are the special characteristics which I understood in this temple that you can read in this slide? It was first Sandhara in Panchayat Temple of Khajurao. First monument of Jajak Bhakti style of temple art architecture. The people who study the temple architecture, they can understand what is called Jajak Bhakti art. If suppose I didn't follow Mr. Dhaki, I could not understand what you call that temple architecture variations in this country. Khajuraho itself a very indigenous quality of architecture design that I will try to discuss with you. Third is, it's fully made of local sandstone. Like it is not imported, exported somewhere else. It came by very close to Khajuraho. There is a valley called Panna. The stone came from that area. It was the first temple of Khajuraho which have developed and decorated Jagati with social military scenes that I will show. It is one of the most decorated, detailed depiction of social life that you will see on its platform or Jagati. First temple which have special space for erotic scenes with some social or philosophical idea. When we're talking about erotic art in Khajuraho, just no depiction of too nonsense thought which spread everywhere due to Buddhism, because all young people who became monk, that's why they put the erotic art, or because medieval period, a lot of war was conducting, so population was decreasing. That's why they put the erotic art, so population increase. Sorry, that was not there. Today I will discuss the cause, the purpose behind why they put those erotic art on the temple. The next one was the first time multi-shikhara and mandapa structure. Like initially just have a small mandapa in Gupta period, you will see it just has the small mandapa or the small shikhara. But in Khajuraho, you will even the Pratyarshali, you will see one single shikhara with a small mandapa. But in Khajuraho, when they introduce the temple, they don't start with single shikhara or ekandaka, they start with bahuandaka. They didn't start with Nirandhara temple, they start with Sandhara temple. They just not made one small mandap, they constructed 3 mandapas like Ardha Mandap, Mandap, Mahamandap, and substitute shrines. So a lot of big achievement was conducted in this temple. Here, on this slide, you can see, actually, if you are new, so some people are confused what is called Sandhara and what is Panchayatana. And it is really very well defined and explained in this plan of Lakshmana Temple. You're watching just on the right side, beautiful steps are moving ahead. You're reaching on the platform. Then these are the main steps reaching towards inner part of the temple. So this area is called the Ardha Mandapa or the Mukh Chatuski. This is called a Mandapa or Mukha Mandapa. This area is called Mahamandapa. In middle of Mahamandapa, it is called Natya Mandapa. This area is called Antarapata. Here is the Garbhagriha, inner Garbhagriha. And surrounding of inner Garbhagriha, you can see it is Pradikshana Path. So when a temple has Pradikshana Path inside of the main temple, that is called Sandhara Temple. But also you can understand there are 4 small shrines in 4 corners. So there are total 5 temples on one platform. That's why these are called Panchayatana Temple. Why with the Panchayatana style? Because in Smarta Dharma, we worship 5 principal gods like Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, Ganesh, and Surya. So all 5 divinities were worshipped together. But today in this temple, we can see still some temple have those kind of elements to understand. Like in this corner, this temple could be dedicated to Surya, because on the door lintel, you can get the Surya. So it was temple for Surya. These 2 temples have the more images of Parvati, Ganesha, and Kartikeya. So might be these 2 temples were dedicated for the Shiva and Parvati, and this temple for Ganesha. But still it is more images of the Vaishnava figures. But it already defined that they have some kind of concept to worship all cult and all religion. And here you can see the beautiful photograph, the rear view of Lakshmana Temple. And you can see the 4 shrines, like 1, 2, 3 shrines are visible from the corner, one another side with the main temple. And beautiful platform Jagati is around. And all those massive temples were constructed, this kind of big rocks of granite. So this is very, very proper site. They constructed the main building on the big rocks. So they didn't need to construct the basic base of the temple. And they constructed the outer wall of the temple. And the gap was filled with unshaped rubbles and the waste of carving and the soil. So when the whole load was going down, and if any expansion is going any side, that was crushing the blocks and making the proper shape and cushioning to the main structure. And here we have, as I said, if you are the student of architecture, temple architecture, then you can understand how Khajurao art is different from rest part of India. So here, Khajurao art has some special indigenous characteristics that you can read on this slide. Well developed and ornamented Jagati. So Jagatis were not flat. It has a lot of projections like all the Jaddukumbha, Khura, Gagraka, Kapota, all details of temple architectural designs are on the platform. All the mandapas are interconnected, not like the Gurjar Pratyahara temple of Gujarat or the Kalinga art. All compartments are separate, but here mandap or the mandap all are interconnected. Beautiful Kachasanas for air and light. I will show on the slide. You will get beautiful Kachasanas or Bhadravalokana, where the teacher was sitting giving lecture to the crowd, or also it's provide proper light and air circulation inside the temple. So from sunrise to sunset, you can drop proper light to the main image, or you will feel very comfortable when you're sitting in the Mahamandapa area. Even during the summer, when we have temperature about 48 degrees Celsius, when you will enter in the temple, you will feel air conditioning. Then next one is arrangement of Pradakshina Path in major temple. So it was something new which is added in central India. They developed proper Pradakshina Path inner part of the building. The fifth is developed Kapali area for special erotic art. This is something very special which was facilitated, and I think it was the biggest idea which was given to the kings and the religious teachers, because any architect could not implement anything without the permission of financier, owner, or religious people. So we can't say this thing like, okay, the Chandilas decided to put the images on the wall, and what they want they depicted on the wall. No. Religious teachers were there. It was first temple of Chandilas, so there should be not any kind of dispute or defame. They constructed something from the frame to get the blessings of the god. So what they put, it was a reason, it was commissioned, it was accepted by all higher people. So they developed a very special area on the temple wall, which we call Kapali, and they put very special erotic images. I will show how beautifully they narrated some very, very special social satire, like what still happening in our society. Some great sadhus are in the jail. Why those are in the jail? It is already mentioned 1000 before on the temple wall, which kind of way of life should be there to get the proper life. The next one is mentioned, developed and well-planned Shikhara style. So I want your opinion. Voice is okay? My voice is very clear? I can't hear the voice.
Yes.
Everything is fine?
Yes, it is fine.
You're enjoying my explanations?
You are audible, perfectly audible.
Yes.
It's are also
Please
visible.
continue.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Now,
Anuragji, that is a challenge. This is Babu. This is a challenge in Google Meet. Once you start presenting, you won't know what is happening, and you need to frequently check like this. I understand the issue. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. So here we can see that here we have the Jagati of Lakshmana Temple. So this is the drawing which I made. So I wrote all details starting from 1 to 13, 14. You can reading. All those are elements from bottom to top. Like in the bottom, it is the Kharasela, then the Bitta, Jaddukumbha, and Mahapattika is there. Then the Khur, Kumbha, Kalash, all different elements. And where you can see some such of decoration called looks like elephant, it is called Antarapata. It is one of the most beautiful part of this Jagati. And where we have a lot of beautiful depiction of subjects, like war scenes are there. So in that war scene, you will see the march of infantry, cavalry, elephantry, and battle scenes. There are the beautiful entertainment scenes like hunting of wild boars and deers, fighting of elephants, wrestling, dance, and music. A lot of sexual couples and couplets and vivid scene of sexual poses are there. As I also wrote, pervaded scenes. So animal sex is a part of society, all societies. It is also narrated on the wall. That I will show on my slide. Then the social activities, marriage scenes and preaching scenes are also there. So now next, as I had I'm moving to my slides. Here we have the two slides. In the top slide you're watching, the soldiers are marching ahead for the war. You can notice they have the beautiful judas and keeping the shields and spear and swords. And on behind, you're watching one man on horse, one man is standing behind with umbrella. So that's the Senapati. And also it is very interesting, when you will see the body proportions of these soldiers, you can understand their body proportions showing these people are from different kind of communities or ethnic groups were there. Like today in our Indian army, we have the Sikh, Rajput or different army groups are there. So same it was in Chandela army. In the lower one you're watching, the war between two big elephant forces. So the elephant just fighting, and this thing is beautifully narrated in the inscription. When the tusk of elephant is just banging, so fire was just rising on the war, and the blood was running like the ghee on the yagna. And if you see that how those are sitting, they're sitting in howdas. Man on behind is keeping a bow on his hand, and they're also wearing the shield, or that's the armor. So that's also beautifully carved in this figure. About the hunting scene, look at this. It's a very interesting hunting scene where king is running on horse, one man is chasing wild boars, and king just continuing and throwing the spears. One spear reached on the back of this boar. That was killed. Also how beautifully they carved king hide behind the tree. Look at the size of the king. And he just hit an arrow that reached on the head of this deer. So how beautiful that animation is depicted in this figure. If you see here you can see that how beautifully that master is sitting on a seat. The size is showing he's a master. Look at the people are dancing. Look at the pose of dance. Or one man is when just he's playing a lute or veena. How beautifully he's just turning his finger and a smile is coming on his face. Or this person is playing edika, or that's doing alap, or he is playing jhanja. A lady is just giving service to the master. Or here we have the sexual act. So these can be a bit very intimate to depiction, but it shows that what was happening, how they are making different pose and posture. Just follow this man who is keeping a bottle on his hand. Or also you will get in other panels too. So I will discuss about this character. It's a very dominating character in Khajurao. That's not repeated in one temple. It's repeated many times in many temples continuously more than 100 years. And that was mentioned in the description as Chaparnaka. These were some kind of monk. They have a little bit affinity with Jain religion. They were keeping same kind of morpuch and that bottle of water. Like today they are keeping a pot of water. So these are Chapanakas. They were involved in this kind of sexual act. In every panels you will get, they are sleeping on the bed, making different posture. In the lower slide, you can see they are mixing something in this mixture, or they are mixing something in the pot. So might be they are producing some kind of medicine. Here we can see some perverted scene, like the man is going with a horse. What does it mean? Why they put that kind of scene on the panel where all people were coming? If you will follow different expressions, all different people have different expressions. If you're starting from the right side, that man who is sitting on the horse, he is covering his face like he doesn't want to see it. So always the top class people, they avoid what is happening in the society. If you will see this man, he is complaining, look sir, what is happening over here? But some people in the society, they protest this kind of act. When people doing this kind of act in the society, some people are very excited. Okay, this can be happen, but they can't go with this kind of act. So they are entertaining with themselves. But look at this gentleman who putting his hand on his face, but he's peeping. So we are very interested, but saying, no, I don't like it, but we want to know more about that topic. So that we can see over here. And here we have some social activities. Like you are watching, beautiful scene of marriage is there. And 1,000 years are completed, but still we are following the same. Here you can see the groom, royal groom is coming on elephant. Iskanji, is that a problem? Hello.
Yes, I think you should continue.
Continue, please.
No problem.
Okay, here we can see that how when the groom comes, bride just standing with her friend. She's offering a kind of plate where she is keeping garlands. So he is offering garland, she is offering garland to the groom. Now the pandit sitting down there doing the kind of feras or the panikran, Kalyan Sudram is going on. And here, this is very important. It was not defined by the people. Earlier I was saying, here teacher sitting on a seat and giving some lecture to the crowd. But I understand when I followed the inscription, they mention about the Siddhas. Those are called Nath. And Chandilas were facilitated by the Gorakhnath Sampradaya. So here we have some Siddha who is giving lecture, and here another guru is there who came with the disciples, and all those are the followers. The attendants is standing behind with wine cup or some kind of material which is in the back, and this lady is giving facility to the Acharya. So it is very important panel on this temple. So there are so many panels around the platform. You can see like more than 110 panels are there showing different kind of activities. So I just tried to show some very popular and famous panels of this platform. Now we are moving on the platform of the temple. When you're approaching on the platform and then you're watching the main temple, you can see two shrines on the corners, and then the main temple is there. Temple itself is divided in 5 different parts. Like first is called Ardha Mandapa or Mukhchatuski. Second is Mandapa. This area is called Mahamandapa. Then gap between the Garbhagriha and the Mahamandapa is called Antarala. Then the Garbhagriha is there. But when you will come very close to the wall, then you will realize we can separate the whole temple from bottom to top in 4 different separations. Starting from top, there's Shikhara. Between this area where we have the figure is called Jangha. Between that area is called Varandika. Here, these are the beautiful Kachasanas. As I said earlier, that's very special characteristic of Khajurao. So earlier that the king was sitting over there, the Acharya was sitting, giving lecture to the crowd. And also these are the apertures. Those gives light or air circulation to inner part of the temple. Thereafter, you will see, starting from the bottom to top, here we can see that there are about 14 elements. Starting from bottom, so these are named like it's a Bhetta, it's a Karnika area, then Jadyakumbha, Antarapata is there, Grasapattika is there. Here we have one special Gajapattika. This is the only temple that has something very special on this temple where we're watching more than 150 elephants. So it looks like the whole temple is placed on the back of those elephants, but between those elephants, you will see a lot of beautiful couples. Here we have the Kalasa and Khur, then again Antarapata is there. So what is between here you can see the beautiful Gajapattika. Hundreds of elephants are there. And these elephants are beautifully carved in 2 different expressions. Some places they are holding lotus flower in the trunk, or sometimes they're crushing the head of a man. If you'll see the next one here, these are the couples between the gap between different elephants. And those are showing different expressions of couples. The most interesting thing is that these couples are following some poses which are mentioned in the Kama Sutra. Like here, when the Nayak and Nayika is meeting, so they can't reach straight to the sexual act. So how they are just meeting and praising to each other. If you will see in the next, when they are just close to each other, the second time, so hugging and loving is there. But when go more next level, now the foreplay is going to start. But also between that Nayak and Nayika, they have the prahasan. Like the Nayika is teasing to the Nayak, ki I'm not happy, I'm leaving to you. And also she is smiling. So that Nayak is not want to leave. That's why he's holding her hand. But look at over here. As I said, in Khajurao, they use these chapanakas for a different purpose. Here you can see the elephant who is watching on the right side where a chapanaka playing with a lady. And he was just going to crush the head of this man, but he left him because he is enjoying this couple. Look at the expression of this elephant. He is smiling or laughing. And when you will move ahead on the wall of the temple, you will get a band called Vedi Banda. And that Vedi Banda, we have a lot of small niches where they put these kind of small god and goddesses like Ganesha. Vaishnavi is there. Vaishnavi is there. Then you can see here we have the Kubera. So all different divinities are there. And also on the wall, there we have 9 main niches. You can see the beautiful decoration on the wall. Like here we have the Ganesha. So there are 9 niches around the wall where they put different god and goddesses. So I mentioned the name like Shani, Brihaspati, Som, Surya, Mangal, Buddha, Shukra, Durga. All those places are here. So here I have the images of 7 gods as per the order. Like on extreme on left on the corner, that's the Surya. Here is the Chandra, then the Mangala, the Buddha, then here the Guru, it's the Shukra, and it's the Shani. So earlier all the people were calling these are the different aspects of Shiva, but Madam Desai, when she was following the iconography, she wrote the iconography of these planets. So still people are not very sure, but due to iconography, I can tell you these are representing Saptagriha. Then here we have other part of the wall, like other elements are there. Rajasena, Vedika, Asana, Patta, Kachasana images. So here is the wall starts. So on the wall, it is the Jangha area. This is the Asana Patta area. That's the Vedika area. These are Kachasana. And all the images are over here. Then upper area have the Devakutas and the Shikras. And which kind of images you will see when you are just close to the temple. So I divided the images which are placed on the wall. Those are in 5 different forms. So at the top, you will see the Bihantras of Shiva. These are different aspects of Shiva. Generally, people think all those are very much like Shiva. They are keeping Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. Sorry, the Vishnu. But when you will understand the iconography, you can realize that no, they have some differences. So on the next slide, you will make a difference. You will understand how beautifully they change the attribute and their name were changed. Like you will see Shiva figures also. You will see the Apsara, Nagkanya, Surya Sundaris, couple and couplets with erotic images, Shardul and Vyalas. So in this slide, you will see the Bihantras of Vishnu. So if you will start following from these form of Vishnu, on the first slide from the left, you will see he is keeping conch shell in the right lower hand and Gada in upper left side. When you are coming the second slide from the left, he is keeping conch shell or the shank in the lower right hand on the left side. And the chakra is another side. And Gada came down. And next 3 images, you're watching Gada in the same place, but look at the attribute of chakra or the shankha. Those are changing. Or in the last slide, you're watching shankha reach another other side. So this is the way, if you know the iconography, you can understand that all figures are not same. They have some reason behind it, and all those images were placed as per order, as per the philosophical order. So what was the text was saying, they follow the text, then they put the images. Look at the Shivas also. They're keeping Trishul, Nag and Kamandal, Varadhasta. And beautiful depiction is there with different shapes and design. Nandi sitting down. Then here we have the Apsaras. And look at the beauty in these Apsaras. Look at the imagination of those artisans. Look at their ornamentation. Look at their hairstyle. Look at their knowledge about the physiognomy, like the body of a person. Look at the way they carve the thighs, the movement of the hips, movement of their back, and the bulkiness, the folds, the transparency of the sari, ornamentations. So if you see these Apsaras, you can see one is she's playing a ball of Kanduka, or she's writing a letter, or watching on the mirror, Rupa Garvita, or she's just touching the nail marks, Nakadansa, or Alasya Kanya is there. But it is one of the most fascinating figure for me, because just one lady, when she's cleaning her hair, how much she is relaxed, which kind of expression is coming, That you will see here. So that I told my guests, or that I tell my guests, look at this. Khajurao just not the erotic art, Khajurao just not the religion, Khajurao is not the philosophy. That each and every moment which we have in our life is nicely depicted on the images. Here we have beautiful Nagkanyas. So generally they look very much identical with Apsaras. But when you will pay attention, no, they are covered with cobras. They have the 3-headed or 4-headed, 5-headed or the 7-headed cobras on hood. That can make a difference. So these are Nagkanyas placed on this temple for the guard, for the protection. Then here we have them couples in the corner with different expressions. Starting from the left, you will see couples standing in a loving way. But in the next, you will see the lady keeping a pot. And between that pot, one tree is there. There's the tadi, the tal tree. So they collected the tadi from that tal tree, placed in the pots. Now she poured the wine on the cup of Nayak, and he already drunk a lot, but still he want more and more. Next one is called Lata, just like the Lata turn around the tree. So the same about the Nayak is turning around the lady like the Lata. And the next one is there where the Nayak teasing the Nayika with his monkey, which we today call the monkey business. And in Sanskrit literature, it is mentioned as market krida. But look at over here. As I said, there is some special reason why they put erotic art. And it is the main architectural development which developed in Khajurao. It had some reason. If you will see the plan, here is the Garbhagriha area. It is the inner Garbhagriha, and it is a Mahamandapa area. It's a Natya Mandapa. Between these two major structures, this is called Kapili. So what I believe that here the devotee, which I call Atma, and here is the Lord Parameshwara, Paramatma, and Paramatma always mentioned in our text as a he, and Atma mentioned as a she. So when a devotee just enter in the temple and stand to the God and offering his last salutation, and then after he circumambulate and enter inside the sanctum sanctorum to merge with him, like a bride married to the groom, they just do circumambulation. After circumambulation, the groom applied the vermilion on her forehead. Then they, after marriage, they just come out, reached in the room, and they just become one. It is a meeting time, and that's the time when they lost their identity. So that can be the region. The Kapali is the juncture where the duality became united. What is called the Dotan Ek Prana, it is that area. That's why they put this area for some purpose, where they put those kind of images. So I'm just trying to show this kind of beautiful figures and figurines are placed in this juncture. So they're the two sides, northern and southern side, because all temples are east facing. So they're the southern Kapali and the northern Kapali. So what is on the southern Kapali that I'm trying to explain? So like starting from bottom to top, you will see a lot of beautiful images are there. And all those images have some reason, some story. And it has some very great thought. And that's my own personal interpretation. It is not written anywhere. I didn't get any reference. It is my personal own interpretation about these images. So here we are watching a couple standing in the center, a man on the left who is keeping some kind of stick on his shoulder and holding his genital, one lady sitting down, or lady on the right side, she's just going back to them and holding her hand on his genital area. Why those people just watching in different direction while the couple are there? So as I said earlier, the lady is representing Atma. The male is representing Paramatma, and Paramatma is infinite. So what actually Atma do? Atma approaches toward the Paramatma. That's why she's approaching over here and is touching down. That is a bhakti. And she want to just want to see the God, want to merge with the God. So she is hugging to the God, and what the God is doing, you can see that man is pinching on her back, like he is giving the pain. So when the people do bhakti, it is not so ordinary. It gives a pain to you, but at the same time, the God supports to you to enjoy that love. That's why he is just holding her. And now he just came down and now giving that love to her. So when this thing is happening, what the people are doing? We have some acharyas, they are not great bhaktas, they are not paramahansas. They are telling the people, look, leave the world, follow the brahmacharya. So that's why he is holding his genital. Follow the brahmacharya. But what these people are doing, you can see one tiny lady, she is kissing on his thigh. So in private time, they have own attendants which entertain them. So that's the reason they were perverted. So already 1000 before, they sent very clear message to the people ki you should not play with the mind. You can play with the body. Mind is very clever. So things should be removed from the mind, not with the body. That's the reason the lady on the right side, she also not entertained. That's why she is leaving. That's the different thing. We'll see the next is there. It is a next level figure with the two people standing in the center. They are not in erotic pose. They're watching in love. Two ladies standing on side. One is playing veena, or second one is playing venu or the vansuri. So veena represent laya and a vansuri represent bhava. So when you have the very beautiful harmony in the family, in the society, so automatic bhava and laya will be there. But if anything will be modulated or changed, it can turn in chaos or the noise. So harmony should be there. And this state is called divine state. That's why you're watching with the Gandharvas on background. In the top, here we can see the Agni. You can see big, long bearded man. He's keeping this Shruva, Veda, Kamandalu, and Akshamala. And the 5 people around, these are still for research. But here a man who is keeping a bag, this is called Pitra. And it is towards south of the temple. And Agni is there, so maybe it is a salutation for Pitras. So there are the 5 different kind of Pitras. So might be all those Aztec figure represent the Pitras. But I have another explanation for general people. When you have control your physical desire, when you control your emotional desire, a state comes. When you become a great knowledgeable or great expert, so automatic one thing comes in all ordinary people. They feel I am most knowledgeable person. So ego, aham, comes. That turn as a krodh. They start insulting the people. The krodh turns as a community or a kind of a group. They start preaching to the people. So lust and greed comes. And when greed comes, a lot of people comes and lady comes, they start offering service to their gurus, then automatic it turns in lust. So here artist trying to show when you reach in the state of knowledge, you should burn all those barriers of nature, then you will get rid. So it can be one thought which they placed over here. It is a northern wall of the temple called Northern Kapli, where you will see these erotic figures where the couples meeting and they're entertaining each other. Again, a monk on the right side. He's making a one Agni Mudra. Or next one you will see here again, a lady keeping a Chandra over her hand. Then after, you're watching another man. It is called Chandapreya, which is mentioned in the scripture. Generally, what the people do, they say this thing that the Chandilas were born by the moon god. And there's one very dramatic story is there. A moon god met with a lady called Hemavati. Then Chandravarman was born. But I read more than 20 inscriptions. We didn't find any single reference of Chandravarman. Even it is repeatedly mentioned a name called Chandapreya. So who was this Chandapreya? So Atri's son was Chandapreya. Actually, by the blessing of these three gods, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Anasuya produced three kids. So one was well known now, today is called Dattatreya. Rest two are missing, are forgotten by the people. And those were the Chandatreya and Krishnatreya. Next slide is here. Like after completion, the whole circumambulation of outer wall of the temple, you enter inside the temple. So here you can see the view of inner part of the temple. You can see different mandapas like Ardha Mandap, Mandap, Mahamandap, Antaral. Then you enter in the Garbhagriha. So here you can see that's the entrance of the temple called Ardha Mandapa. It is a beautiful Makar Torana. And here you can see the drawing of Ardha Mandapa. And here we have the inscription of Khajurao. It is the first inscription of Khajurao dated as a 954 AD. Its language is Sanskrit and script is Devanagari. Here I mentioned some important storyline of this inscription. It was found in 1843 at the base of Lakshmana Temple. Its language is Sanskrit and script is Devanagari. It is 48 verses in 28 lines. It starts with Dwadas Akshara Mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It refers the Sankhyan philosophy, order of universe. It mentioned a name called Chandatreya, as I said, as progenitor of Chandela's dynasty. It mentioned names of earlier rulers like Nanuka, Vakpati, Jayashakti, Vijayashakti, Rahila, Srihars, Yashovarmana, with his son Dhanga. It also mentions the name of areas were invaded by them as the Khasa, Chedi, Kashmir, Mithila, Kausala, Malwa, Bhaswat, Gopa, means Gwalior, etc. And it also mentioned they conquered the Kalinjara. And after the Kalinjara, they followed a title called Kalinjarapati. And then they concluded the inscription with Nama Savite. And after that, when you will enter about Mahamandapa, so you can see now the four-columned Mahamandapa, where you can see the Natya Mandapa. Straight ahead, you will see the Garbhagriha, where you can see the figure of Vaikuntha Vishnu. And Antaral also have the beautiful columns. In all those columns, they are beautiful Shala Banjikas. So if you can make a difference, okay, these are very much like Apsaras, but they are standing under some different trees. Like this lady on left, standing under the mango tree. She is squeezing water from her hair. And she's playing a ball, or she's playing a lute, or standing under the Shala tree. Because they are standing in different trees, that's why it's called a Shala Banjikas. And those are placed above the columns, under the capitals. Here we have the door frame of the Garbhagriha. And I just wrote the details on the right side on my drawing. So actually in top the row, there are the 9 planets starting from the left. There are Surya, Chandra, Mangal, Budh, Brahaspati, Shukra, Sani, Rahu and Ketu. On the main door lintel, they put Brahma, Lakshmi and Shiva with Veenadharas. On the door gem, they put 6 incarnation from 10. Starting from left, one is empty now. Here is the Matsya, then the Kurma, Varaha, Narsimha, Vaman and Parashurama. Then Ganga and Yamuna are on the left and right side of the door frame. And Dwarpalas, Vaishnav Dwarpalas are there. So they put Jaya Vijaya, Dhata Vidhata on the door frame. And here I have the drawing of inner sanctum wall. So it has beautiful Adhisthana. As we saw on outer wall, it has beautiful Janga. Janga itself also divided in 2 different parts. In the lower row, they put images of Dikpalas, Apsaras, mythical animals, and also in the central projection or central niches, they put the Avtaras like the Varaha, Narsimha, and Hagriva. But in upper row, they put the Dhyanastha Vishnu or Yogastha Vishnu with some stories. Astabashus are in the corner, and they develop 12 different stories of Krishna, and they placed under the rushes. Here you can see some Dikpalas like Agni and Indra. Agni and Vayu are here, and Ashtavashus on the right side. And here we have beautiful avatars and Yoga Vishnu. I want to attention just on the right side. In the eastern wall, there is a beautiful Varaha figure of Vishnu. It lost his head. Then the Narsimha in the lower row. It is on the western side of the temple, and the Hagriva on the northern niche. But if it's on the left side, all three images where the Lord Vishnu sitting in meditative form. It is called Yogastha Vishnu, and the people standing around to Vishnu, all those are the Sapta Rishis. In the top one, it is difficult to see, but if we'll pay attention, here we have the turtle, here we have Yogastha Vishnu with Yaggapiti and Gyanapatta, and here we have the fish. So where the Lord Vishnu is sitting in meditative form and fish is there, so it represents the story of Matsya Purana, where Swayambhu Manu was sitting next to him and asking about his next incarnation. And here all people are also asking why you took the incarnation of Kakshapa. And this is very important panel to us. It's called Shweta Deep Katha, where the people were doing yagana or they're doing very hatha yoga and their body turned as a skeleton, but they didn't see the God. Then Narada told the story, became with Ekantik Bhakta, only Bhakta of Lord Vishnu, you can see him. That's why all these rishis went over there, Sankadi Rishi went over there to see the Lord Vishnu, and that area is called Shweta Deepa. And as I said, there are the story of Krishna. So actually there are the 12 different niches, and I found some beautiful photograph of those Krishna Leela, those you can see in this panel. Like here you're watching, Krishna is breaking that bullock cart, Shakat Bhang, or one demon boss came in the form of a donkey. So Keshivas is there. Krishna also killed a wrestler, Mustika. This is a Mustik Bad. Here we can see the Putana Bad. He's broken 2 trees. Yamla Arjuna is there. Or here we have Balaram killed Roma Harshana. That story here. And then after it is a Kaliya Mardana. You can see man with a cobra headed. Here is the Kubja Anugrah. Kubja is standing over there and Krishna touching and taking her sandal paste. Or here the demon came as a form of the cuff. So he is killing that demon also. And here is the main image of Vaikuntha Vishnu, which is placed inside the temple. You can see it has the 3 heads. On the right, it is the boar-headed. On the left, it is a lion-headed. And surrounding of, you will see the Bihantras and the Surya Narayan on the top. Then all incarnations are there. Then Bhudevi in the lower pedestal. So actually this idea of temple based on a religion which was in 10th century AD, that's called Kasmiragam Pancharatra. As per the Kasmiragam Pancharatra, the Parama Vasudeva is the source of whole universe. When he wants to manifestate himself, he turns to the Maya. With the Maya, 6 elements comes out. Those 6 elements produce 3 Vyuha called Sankarshana, Pradyumna and Anuruddha. With the Vasudeva, they produce Chaturvyuha. And these Chaturvyuha turn in Bihantras. And from the Bihantras, avatar and other things comes out. So this is the whole theory of Pancharatra. So this temple was constructed as per order. So Vaikuntha is the Parama Vasudeva, that is in the sanctum. The Hagriva, Vara and Narsimha represent their Vyuhas. Thereafter, as I saw the images of different form of Vishnu in outer wall, those are the Bihantras. So how the whole creation came in this world, it is beautifully manifested by the architecture. As I said, I want to discuss about a character called Chapanaka. So if you'll see a man on the left, he is keeping his stick. Or a man over here is keeping a bottle. Or this man also keeping the bottle and that burpuch. And also here, as I said, you are watching the bottle or they are over everywhere. Here the Chapanaka is crossing by this elephant. Also, Chapanaka is here. So, who are these Chapanakas actually? When I was trying, really it was very difficult, but when I followed the inscription, when I followed a little bit literature of Indian history or ancient history, I was shocked. In Vishakadatta, I think that's the Mudra Rakshas. In that one, Chapanaka was there. He worked as a spy for Vishnu Gupta or Chanakya. Also in the Navaratna of Vikramaditya, another Chapanak was there. So Chapanak means they were the scholars, they had knowledge of alchemy, they have a great respect in the society, but somehow they were involved some wrong act. That's why in Khajurao they were used as character of satire. So artisan of Khajurao used them for a character of satire. That's why they put one very interesting verse or the sloka on the inscription of Dhangadev in the temple of Vishnunatha. Once when Lord Shiva entered in the cave of Himalaya, Goddess Parvati asked him, "Who are you?" So then Lord Shiva said, "I am Digambar." So then Parvati smiled and taunted, "Oh, Chapanaka." It's like nude one were known as Chapanaka also. So then they smiled and laughed like that. So it is very clear these were some characters who were involved in some kind of act, this kind of act. Like now in these days, a lot of yoga teacher telling the people they have to control their sexual power, how they can awaken their chakras with the sexual act. So these kind of characters were there and still they are in the society. But Khajurao was based not in erotic art. It was talking about the Kundalini art, which is called Siddha Yoga. It was talking about one great philosophy that now I'm going to summarize with my first slide. It is my own personal explanations. What is that? The temple itself is divided in three basic structures. The lowest part of the temple, which we called Jagati. What is the meaning of Jagati? Jagat iti. So the body is the representative of this world, Jagat. So platform of the temple represents the world. And the body cannot control anything. Body does not have the power. The body and all the indriyas are operated by the mana. Man does not have the power of intellect or logic. It is operated by the buddhi. Buddhi does not have the power. It comes with the inner consciousness called the vivek. And beyond the vivek, we have atma. So in the inner sanctum, atma is there, the paramatma is there. What is depicted around the temple, which we call the mandir, it is the thought of the mind. So what I tell my guest, when we are standing on the ground, we are in this world, we are in the Jagata. We are getting all the information from the Jagata, but many times when we are upset from the world, we close our eyes. The moment you are closing the eyes, you are not in the world. But after the closing, you are also living in another world that is in the mind. In that mind, we have everything. So what we have faith in God. So God is there. What are representing Apsaras? The Alash is there. Plucking the thorn, that is there. The pain is there. Rupa Garva is there. Decoration is there. Mellow, everything is there. That's a part of our life. So what is in the mana? That is depicted through the Apsaras. When the body comes in this world, it comes with the man or as a woman. So that's why they put the couples to show the separation or the duality of a body or the consciousness. The Shardul are representing that always we are trying to control our desire, but they are suppressing because our desire comes with our speech, with our conduct behavior. So two people are on those mythical animals, those are pulling tail, pulling tongue. So that means first you should control our thoughts and the act. So that's the reason in Gita they told that no one can stop doing working but I am beyond all. मैं कुछ नहीं करता, मैं कुछ भी नहीं सोचता, मैं कुछ. And that thought is there. Someone who left all the thoughts from the brain who is not doing anything for the external world, and he now sthit pragya. He is visiting inner consciousness. So when you're reaching inner part of the temple, it means you are getting inner level of consciousness. So now we can divide 3 different levels of consciousness: a man who is standing on the ground, man who is standing on the platform, man who is entering in the temple. So you can make a difference between different level of consciousness and the perspective of their view. So I think that's the separation. That was the basic story that was trying to explain by Khajurao temples, which was not explained because now we are completely separated. What the religious people telling, they are telling story. They don't have any darshan. And the people who are talking about the darshan, they don't have knowledge about the kriya. And Khajurao is the place where we have the kriya, darshan, and the life together. So I think it is a time we have to revive our culture and tradition. So this is the way I want to conclude my lecture. And I apologize if I said something offensive or became very excited, because I'm sorry to say, my mental state is not so good. I told to Mr. Skanda Kumar, I'm passing through one kind of shock. I lost my nephew last afternoon. I should be there, but due to this promise, I could not. So maybe if, my words were not on right time and I didn't use properly. So here I am. Might be you enjoyed my explanation. If you have any question, you can ask.
Yeah, thank you, Anurag ji, for this wonderful presentation. I think the paper is open for discussion.
Thank you, Javeri ji.
This is Babu.
Sir,
I'm
Babu,
sorry
sir.
to hear about your tragic loss,
Yes,
but in spite of that, I commend you on having this composure and handling a very difficult and sensitive subject in a beautiful way. I really feel that this is the way a temple should be explained to any person in terms of logic, in terms of components of architecture, in terms of the sculptures that are available in the various locations. And also the final beautiful point is your interpretation of the sculptures and how they align with the various inscriptions and historical evidences. It's a very good, fantastic job. And we look forward to similar presentations on other Khajuraho temples as well. Thank you. Pranam, sir.
Thank you, sir. It's good.
Babu sir, you and he should combine and give a big presentation on Kajura.
I have done, but that was one presentation covering the entire Khajuraho. It doesn't do justice to any of the temple.
You both should combine and give a good presentation on Kajura. There should be a series of only on Kajura. 3-day series. That's my suggestion.
I have already preparation of many subjects. I'm ready to do anything. I had presentation of all different temples. So if Iskansar permit me, I will just conduct more webinars on Khajuraho.
Sure, we would try to get you with our India heritage too.
Okay, sir.
Babu sir, keep that note in mind, please.
Okay, sir.
Right, definitely. See, the challenge is that I did the Konark presentation without seeing Konark, and the same is the story of presenting Khajuraho without seeing Khajuraho. But you are there, you are living in Khajuraho, you breathe Khajuraho, and then this is where the passion and being there every day comes out very, very clearly in this. And I would love to come to Khajuraho and then spend the time with you on this.
Whenever you want, you can come and join us. It's hardly open greetings in Khajuraho.
Definitely. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And it was a very great presentation on this.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir.
Hello, Shukla ji.
Sir.
Namaste from Chennai.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I have a question.
Sir, please.
Sir, I'm very sorry for the condolence, and I'm very sorry to come to know that the sad demise of your relative. Very sorry for that.
Okay, sir.
Sir, you said very often you read the inscriptions, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
That is in which language?
It is in Sanskrit language and script is Devanagari, sir.
Is it the old script or new script?
It's an old script, sir.
So you read, or you have deciphered of your own without
Actually, sir, I just sat opposite to the inscription and just followed all the alphabets first. Then I got the translation.
Okay.
So in that translation, I have that latest alphabets, Devanagari Lipi.
Very
Through
good.
that, I start learning the sentence or the words.
Okay.
From the primary section, from ABCD, then I became the middle, like the second class is there. Then I improved, then understand the whole translation. So it took me about 3 years to understand the Inscription of Khajurao.
Good. Very good. Very nice presentation. All the very best.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you very
Do you
much.
know me personally? Nagesh,
No, sir.
I am also your colleague.
Okay, sir. Oh, yes, sir. Now I can remember. And now I can remember it.
Thank you.
Yes,
All
sir.
the best. Take care.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir. Many more questions?
अनुराग जी,
Sir.
हाँ, मेरा पहला अपॉइंटमेंट छतरपुर में था और
आपने सर
मैं
बताया
6
था
साल
मुझे।
छतर जी
आपने
तब
बताया
शायद
था
आप आपकी स्कूलिंग हुई रही होगी और मैं 83 में छतरपुर महाराजा कॉलेज ज्वाइन किया बॉटनी में।
अच्छा सर,
और
मैं
उसके बाद
84 के बाद महाराजा कॉलेज पहुंचा हूँ। मैं अपना ग्रेजुएट वहीं से किया है। हमारी दोसा मैडम थी हमारी फिजिक्स डिपार्टमेंट में, हमारे पॉल सर थे केमिस्ट्री डिपार्टमेंट में,
केमिस्ट्री में। तो मैं 89 में फिर रीवा आ गया
सर।
तो इसी बीच में खजुराहो कई बार गया
सर,
और कई किस्सा भी सुनी। और पहले तो एक मैंने उपन्यास पढ़ा था जो वहां के
खजुराहो की अतिरूपा। जी सर।
हाँ
जी।
तो क्योंकि थोड़ा इंटरेस्ट था, पर ये जो था मैं प्राय खजुराहो जाया करता था क्योंकि समय ही तो इसी रूप में मैं देखता था उसको कि क्या ये बना हुआ है, कैसे बना हुआ है। तो कुछ किस्सा कहानी तो इस तरह से मिलती थी, लेकिन इस तरह का जो आपने यहाँ पे डिस्क्राइब किया पूरी बात, वो मैं पहली बार सुना हूँ खजुराहो के बारे में। और कुछ चीजें मिलती थी।
देव कृपा है मुझ पे कि मुझे ईश्वर ने शायद इसी काम के लिए बनाया होगा, वरना मेरी पढ़ाई लिखाई बहुत अलग थी। कहाँ से ईश्वर ने मुझे कहाँ रख दिया।
हाँ, जो आपने ये बताया कि ये क्या वो अर्थ काम मोक्ष वाली कहानी आपने बताई, मैंने सुन रखी थी, लेकिन अभी तक पूरा जो है ये नहीं समझ पाया था मैं। और जैसा कि सब लोगों ने कहा, खजुराहो में एक्चुअली क्या है, एक एक दीवार पर एक एक पीएचडी लिखी हुई है। ये बात तो है, ये बात, क्योंकि मैं वहाँ के जो सीनियर लोग थे, खासकर जगदीश शुक्ला लोग जो लाइब्रेरियन थे, काफी पुराने लोग थे, तो वहाँ जो समझते थे लोग, नर्मदा प्रसाद नर्म थे हिंदी वाले, तो इस तरह से संस्कृत के थे अयोध्या प्रसाद द्विवेदी। तो हम लोग डिस्कस किया करते थे। उस समय मैं यंग था, बिल्कुल 22-23 साल का मैं ज्वाइन किया था वहां पे, लेकिन उन लोगों के बीच में रहता था। तो ये बात तो काफी आई है। निश्चित रूप से खजुराहो में जो अलग अलग मंदिर हैं, उनकी कहानी किससे लगभग अलग अलग हैं।
बहुत अलग है।
हाँ, सब एक दूसरे से, माने वो मंदिरों के जो बने हुए हैं बनावट का वो है, लेकिन अंदर का जो सब कुछ है वो काफी कुछ अलग है। तो इस तरह से हर मंदिर को समझने के लिए वक्त चाहिए। और
सर, मेरी कोशिश सर यही है कि मैं चाहता हूँ कि सारे मंदिरों को नए सिरे से लोगों को बताया जाए, सिखाया जाए। बहुत सारे मिथ हैं, बहुत गलत मिथ है यहाँ पे।
जी,
खजुराहो की खोज के बारे में ही बहुत बड़ा मिथ है। हाँ, सबसे मेरा आई वांट टू रिक्वेस्ट ऑल ऑफ यू, इफ यू वांट टू नो रियल ऑथेंटिक हिस्ट्री ऑफ खजुराहो, please subscribe my YouTube channel, Khajurao with Anurag, where I told the story of the discovery of Khajurao and how the Cunningham did work on Khajurao. What is the beginning history of Khajurao? A lot of myth and stories are there. You can subscribe my YouTube channel, Khajurao with Anurag, and you can listen very interesting stories.
तो
Yeah, I've
ये
seen that, and it has got a fantastic collection of videos and materials, and that was really thing. I forgot to mention that. The good
Thank
that
you,
you
Babu sir.
mentioned.
Thank you, Babu sir.
तो देखिए समय मिला आगे तो मैं इसको जरूर करूंगा, क्योंकि अभी जो मैंने ये लिया था तो प्रोटेक्टेड एरिया का वर्क मैं कर रहा था, और एकदम से कभी आपको इस कहानी का, क्यों मैंने आर्कियोलॉजी का इतना बड़ा चैप्टर लिया, उसकी एक छोटी सी कहानी है। क्या हुआ कि मैं जब पिछला वेबिनार करा रहा था अक्टूबर-नवंबर में, तो मैंने एक बार मैं कलकत्ता गया हुआ था म्यूजियम में, और वहां पे मैंने भरहुत गैलरी देखी जो हमारे साथ की है। तो मैंने वहां के जो एक्सपर्ट हैं उनसे बात की, पर उनका समय नहीं मिल पाया, क्योंकि सिंगल टॉक थी। उनने भी सोचा कि बाकी सब ये बॉटेनिकल और जूलॉजिकल टॉक है, तो हो सकता है वो देने में थोड़ा सा उसमें हिचक रहे थे। तो फिर हमारे दिमाग में आया कि क्यों ना हम हर स्टेट से एक एक दो इम्पोर्टेंट हेरिटेज साइट हैं, और उसमें कुछ हम नेचुरल हेरिटेज साइट को भी लेकर के हेरिटेज साइट पर ही एक वेबिनार का आयोजन करें। तो उसमें हमारे जो नेचुरल हेरिटेज साइट में जैसे